Hi, crafty friends. Thanks for joining me. I'm trying another setup for doing Facebook Live. I'm using a webcam today, so I want to see how this works. And I'm glad you could join me. I'm working on a card today. It's a really cute card with a very long doggy on it using this stamp set called Long Time No See. It's a new stamp set. I just got it a couple weeks ago. I've made a few cards with it. And I'm preparing a card for my upcoming card buffets using the little dog. The stamp has the dog, it also has a llama. I think it's a llama, could be an alpaca. It's really cute. And then it has this other extension stamp that allows you to make the doggy really long or make the llama have a very long neck. And you can color this pretty like a scarf or a sweater. So that's the stamp set. It's available now. It costs $20 in case you're looking for that. And I'll give you a little sneak peek. This is a similar card. I made this for a recent Stampin' Up! Team meeting where several of us made projects and then shared it with others to make. So you can see it's a fun fold card. It opens up and you get a really long doggy. That's very cute. This card I made with green and a flower design and do something a little different today. Since the card doesn't open like that, like a regular card, I'm using the back as the place that I'm going to write my sentiment on that. So I just stamped a little dog face there. The one we're making today is going to be kind of a cross between that and this one, using this plaid with the brown and blue colors together on it. I think it has a nice fall look to it. I tried using some dies that I think are called Around It All. They're kind of not perfect circles, but I didn't like that as much. So we're going to go back to a rectangle for our sentiment. So let's see what we're using. We have the stamp set. Again, long time no see. I have the stamps I'm using already mounted. For the base of our card, let me show you how that works. It's actually very simple. It's close to a regular card. So a normal size card is 5.5 high in this case by 4.25 wide. So I've cut this to be 5.5 times 5.5 high, and then 4.25 times 2, so that's 8.5 this way. I scored it in the middle and folded over, and then I score the front half of the card basically halfway through. So this is 2 1/8 from each side. I scored it and fold that one back. So that gives us this little kind of accordion thing. Very simple to do. We're going to use patterned paper for the background. I don't even know what this is called. This is paper that I've had, but I just kind of love the colors and I think it's great for fall, and I thought it would work really well with this doggy wearing a sweater. So I've cut the pattern paper just like a 1/8 of an inch narrower on each side. So let's see, this one is going to be 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then these two are going to be 5 3/8 by 2 1/16, I believe. And so we'll be putting those down like that. We'll come back and do that later. For the back of the card, since I used white on this one, I'm going to use what's actually the back side of that pattern paper has a nice blue color. So I've got that cut 1/4 inch less on both sides. So that would be 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And then I went another 1/4 inch down on both sides for a piece of white that we'll use to put our sentiment on. So this one is going to be 3 3/4 wide and 5 inches tall. So 5 inches, 5 1/4, and the card is 5.5. That gives you this nice kind of stacked look. And then for our dog, we're going to use 3 pieces of white. These are 3 inches high and the same width as the pattern paper we just put in. So 4 1/8, 2 1/16, and 2 1/16. want to make sure you go a little bit narrower so that as you fold it, they all work well together. And I'll show you how we do the stamping there. That's kind of the trickier part of this particular card. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you can see me. And you remember this card because you were with me when we made the green one here. All right, and then for the sentiment, I'm using a little rectangle I cut. I use the die set. It's called Deckled Rectangles. It makes kind of a ragged edge look, and then I just have a rectangle of blue to back that with. That's a little bit larger. So let's try the stamping. So the stamping on this one is a little bit tricky because what we want to do is get the back part of the dog. I'll keep this here so we can see what we're doing. We want the back part of the dog here. We want the front part of the dog here. And then we're going to use that extension piece to fill in the long straight part. So a few things you have to do is try to get the paws in the front and in the back at the right height so that you can get a relatively straight dog. I've had mixed results as I've tried to do this, some of them a little better than others. So first thing I'm going to do is take the middle piece out. And when we stamp the front of the dog, I want to go as far over to the right as I can. I'm going to try and go about 1/4 inch up from the bottom. And I have a piece of scrap paper here. I'm just using that to kind of mask off my white cardstock so that the back part of the dog won't be stamped onto my cardstock. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm using Memento ink because I'm going to be coloring, and this is a great ink to use that won't smudge when you color on it later. So I'm going to go about 1/4 inch up near the front of that, and I've masked off the part of the dog where his back legs start. So now you can see the tail went on the little piece of scrap paper, but on the cardstock itself, we have a nice crisp image of just the front of the dog. Now we need to do something similar on the back because I'm going to ink up the whole stamp. I want the back of the dog, again, with his paw about 1/4 inch up, and I want to mask off this part so that I don't start to get the neck of the dog. You can see that kind of comes into play here. So I'll ink up mainly the tail part, and I'm going to go again about 1/4 inch up and just stamp the back part of the dog and the straight part of his back. Now I can come back in with this very long scarf piece. It actually looks like a ladder. I'm sure we could use it for a ladder for something else. And I'm going to use that to do the front of the dog, fill in all the way to the edge of that paper, do this middle piece, and just a little bit added to the back piece there. Hopefully that'll make sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the front page, the front of the dog, and I'm just putting the scrap paper there to protect my work surface, and stamp right to the edge of that piece of paper. So see how that extends the dog. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the back, and then I'll just fill in with the middle. So on the back I just have a little bit to fill in, and try it's actually kind of hard to try and keep it straight. So I've done a few of these, and some of them work better than others. So see, this one I didn't have it lined up good, so I'm gonna stamp again on the back, and it's okay to try again. So again, I'll use the masking scrap paper. And this one's probably going to be what it is, no matter how it comes out. I'll be able to show you how you make the rest of the card. But like I said, this one is a little bit tricky. go. Okay. And then I'm going to just fill in. And so what I'm going to do just to help myself is put the front and the back lined up with each other. And I'll use that to kind of guide where I stamp here. All right, so now we have our dog stamping done. And I should have a little wipe here. Try and minimize the smudges I make. Okay, so our doggy is stamped. We'll come back and color him. And then let's stamp our sentiment on this tan paper. And I'm going to use some brown for that because I think it looks nice with the plaid that I'm using. So I've got Early Espresso. And I think this will be a great card for a friend I actually haven't seen for a long time who has a dog just like this. Not quite as long as what I'm making, but all right. And so when I do sentiments, I like to stamp it on both sides and then use the one that I think came out the best. So we'll use that side. And then we can do our coloring. So I'm just using 3 colors here. I've got kind of a medium brown I'm going to use for the scarf. No, actually I'm going to use a medium brown for the dog, a darker brown for the scarf, and a blue for the scarf. And so I know people don't put blue and brown together a lot, but it's actually the colors of my school, my college I went to. The colors were brown and blue. Probably sounds kind of boring. We were not a big sports college, but I like those 2 colors together. And when I saw this plaid paper that has the blue in it, I thought this would be good. So you can color these any way that you want. You can use pencils, you can use markers, you can use blends, alcohol markers, watercolors, probably even crayons would be fine. I like to use alcohol-based markers. And then what I'm going to do is I'm coloring first all of the alternating stripes with the lighter color. And then I'll come back in with the darker color and just do the outline. I think that gives it some dimension, makes it look a little bit rounded. It'll take me a few minutes here. I hope you're having a good day. It's Sunday afternoon here. I'm kind of inside between a few different outside activities. But I wanted to try this webcam thing out, and I've been having a hard time finding the right moment to get up here and play. It looks like the video is okay, and you can kind of see my work surface. I think we'll be able to flip this camera around and you could see me. But right now that's a bit of a manual effort. So I thought I'd start with what seemed a little more certain, looking at the work surface here. All right, and then let's see, that one's gonna be, we'll make the little one there brown, then we'll go to blue here. And once we're done coloring this, then it's just a matter of assembling it all, which is not too hard to do. All right, so then I did want to come in with the dark side for the brown stripes on the little guy's scarf. And so what I like about this is you can pick the colors you want to go with your paper. So if you remember on this other card where we had a green card base with flowers, I used green and yellow, and I think that worked quite nice. I definitely will be using red and green together for some Christmas cards. I probably will use that little llama. Do you think he's a llama? Do you think he's an alpaca? Um, Let me know what you think he is. Just some other kind of cute animal. I think he's going to be cute for a Christmas card. Should be able to make something pretty similar, but have it open the long way, like vertically, um, and have a really, really, really long sweater on that guy in yellow and sorry, in red and green for Christmas colors. And the stamp set has a stamp that says Merry Christmas. It also has a little string of Christmas lights um, that we can use. Probably, I don't know, I think I probably would put the string of Christmas lights under with the words, with Merry Christmas. But there might be some way to make it look like the um, animal has Christmas lights going around it. That'll take some playing to figure out if that would work. For this card, I think I'm not really going to go for the three-dimensional look just to save a little time, because I want to show you how it all comes together and the finished product. So do you like coloring your stamps, or do you like the kind of stamps that have like a outline that you stamp with one stamp and then another stamp that will fill in the color? We have a lot of stamps like that. I really like to color, um, especially when I feel like I have all the time in the world, which I don't feel like right now while I'm trying to see if this video works. Uh, but I do like coloring quite a lot. It's soothing to me. So I probably would make a bunch of these and then sit down and do all the coloring at once, and then come back and assemble them all. Might even, actually, that might be a good project for me. I'm going to be traveling next week, and I'm starting to think about what am I bringing with me for craftiness. Maybe I stamp a bunch of these dogs and llamas and color them while I'm on the road. That could be fun. All right, so there's the scarf all filled in. Again, you can do like I've done here and kind of go around it with the darker shade on each shape, and that gives a little more dimension. And then I'm going to use the lighter color brown just to fill in the doggy. I'm kind of surprised my doggy is not in here right now. I have a puppy that's still getting used to what she wants to be doing all day and all night. And she's likely to barge in at any minute, and that could be she's got something she's not supposed to. She could come in barking up a storm. She might just laze her way in here and go curl up in the corner. That's a little bit unpredictable right now, but she's cute. She doesn't look like this guy too much, but the smile's the same, I think. And I'm just going to go slightly darker on his ear. And maybe a little bit around the edges. Okay, I think that's good enough for this time. And then one more thing I want to stamp is on the very back of the card. I want to stamp just a little bit of this doggy peeking through, because he is so cute. and I'm not going to be coloring him. So I'm just a little bit. All right, now we can put it together. So you get to use your favorite adhesive. I like glues, I like tapes, but probably my favorite is tape. And I'm going to use the Terran tape for this one. And I have two pieces of paper that are very similar in size, so I have to figure out which one goes on the front. All right, that's the one that goes in there. So we're just gonna tape down the paper that gives us the background design on the front of the card on all of the panels, if you will. So this is the bigger panel. That'll be kind of the inside of the card, and about half of it is covered when the card is closed, if you will. So you only would see kind of the short version of the dog when the card is closed. The normal size version. Debbie, you don't like the coloring, huh? I do like the two-step stamps that we have, especially like the flower ones where you can then fill in the inside of the card so nicely and yes, so easily. And you don't suck at coloring. All right. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for joining. I'm testing out a new camera on Facebook Live and seeing how it works and making a little doggy card. I hope your Florida trip worked out well. I think it was last week you were going. And I'm pretty excited because I'm trying to figure all this out, but at least today I can see the comments, which is a step up from the last time I tried. So thanks for hopping on and giving me some comments so I could check that out. All right, so the background now is done on the card, and I would suggest if you are using something like this with a pattern that you make more of an effort than I did here to line up the pattern. I think I had 3 pieces that matched well originally, but I must have put one upside down. But you can use any kind of pattern paper for this. So, if I had put it on the right way, you would see I would be able to use the paper itself to line up the dog, but not this time. So we will just do our best. Just kind of putting him in the middle of this page. No real science to where he is. Oh, you went 2 trips last week. That's great. I hope the weather was good for you. It rained here the entire time. All right. So we put the dog. I'm gonna put him like a little bit down from the center, and then just do the best we can to line up the middle section here. I think I might have made this card a little more complicated than need be, but I couldn't really figure out the best way to get the long dog and have it fold as well. There might be some way you can kind of stamp it, once. A thing I could do is I could cut that stamp, the stamp that has the dog, I could cut it in the middle. So I had 2 stamps, one that was his face and one that was his tail. And sometimes I do that, but I wasn't sure this time because I think I want to use him sometimes like a normal sized dog and sometimes like this. But that's definitely something you can always do, is cut your stamps to fit what you want. I know some people are reluctant to do that. At least with the photopolymers, you can do it pretty easily, and usually it works okay. I've done it before a lot of times with sentiments where I want part of what it says, but not the whole thing. Or maybe I want to stamp Merry someplace and Christmas someplace different, for example. Okay, so now our dog is there. When it's folded up, he's a long dog, but when it's opened up, he's a really long dog. And now we just have to put our sentiment. And you could easily use glue to put all this together too. I just thought tape might be quicker and easier this time. Now when you put this on, we're going to put it so a piece of it kind of just hangs over the edge. So I'm only going to tape on the left-hand side of this. I think I'll put it about there, and then it'll just kind of hang free. You want to be careful not to tape it accidentally to the other side, otherwise the card won't open. And if you wanted to dress it up, you could put some string. I did that on this card. If you can see, we had little string just around the edge of that rectangle. And then I'm going to do the back. So again, this is just the back side of this paper, has a nice plain blue that'll give my white cardstock a little bit of an outline. Even though the card doesn't have a traditional kind of inside to it, I wanted there to be a place you can write. And I like this part of most of our pattern paper or designer series paper, as it's called in the Stampin' Up! Line. A lot of times the front will have kind of a busy design, but then the back might just have more of a subtle design, or even nearly solid in this particular case. So you can use it as an accent to the paper. All right, now this little white piece on the back will be where I would write my note to my friend with a little dog on it. All right, so there you have it. This card is now done. I would call it almost done. So we have the long time no see. It opens up. It's adorable. I think anybody who has one of these Wiener dogs or Dachshunds would love this card, or just people that like cute things. Now, one more thing, one more option we have to do with this card to dress it up just a tiny bit more. I love googly eyes, so I have a whole box of them I bought probably years ago. And if you want to make this even more fun, you can just put a little dot of glue and put a googly eye on it. I think it makes it kind of fun. On this one, you can probably see the little eye like rolling around there. So thanks for joining me, Deb and Tanya. I'm glad you were able to see it while I was live and comment so I could test that out. And I do want to try, if you'll indulge me, just one thing. I want to see if I'm able to switch over to more of a live view. Well, I can, but it looks like I have to hold up for that to happen. So next I need to figure out how to secure this camera in this mode, so I can talk to you partly and then partly make a project. Hope you guys have a great day, and if anybody catches this on replay, would you just send a note, add a comment that you saw it on replay, so I can figure out how this is all working and how I have the settings set up. Thanks, and have a great day.